What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. Well, Nate Eovaldi is no longer a Boston Red Sox. Nate Eovaldi last night signed a 3-year deal to reunite with his buddy Kevin Plawecki in Texas with the Rangers. If you want to hear my full thoughts on what Nate Eovaldi meant to the Red Sox and Red Sox Nation, tune in tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time on this channel where we are going live. We can talk about Nate, we can talk about the state of the Red Sox, we can talk about Rafi, we can talk about anything you guys want. That is going to be tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. But anyways, the Red Sox were fairly quick to respond to the news of Nate Eovaldi leaving this Red Sox team. What they did instead was sign a deal with a veteran arm that has had a fairly successful career, and that is Corey Kluber. So what we're going to do in today's video is we are going to talk about Corey Kluber's contract with the Boston Red Sox. We're going to look at the actual contract itself, the years, the money, go over everything and determine whether or not that contract is a fairly decent one, a good one, or a bad one. And we're going to talk about Corey Kluber himself as a player, why the Red Sox were so interested in signing Corey Kluber, and maybe what his position and effect on this Red Sox team may look like in 2023. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the actual contract itself. Now, Jeff Passan tweeted out just a couple of hours ago that Corey Kluber was signing with the Red Sox, but the first contract news that I saw came from Alex Spear, where he said the Red Sox were in agreement with Corey Kluber for a 1-year, $10 million deal. Now, there is a club option in a second year that could make it a 2-year deal, but as of right now, probably by the time you're watching this information may be available, but at the time I'm recording this, we do not know what that second year's monetary value is, so it's hard to determine what the full potential of this contract could be. So we're just going to go off of the 1-year $10 million deal for right now. And honestly, the 1-year $10 million with whatever the club option may be doesn't seem like a bad deal to me, especially with the way free agency has trended this offseason. It seems as though teams who really want their players have been willing to way overspend. If you look at guys like Rich Hill, who got $8 million, Nate Eovaldi got 3 years, $17 million, and a little bit more with incentives every single year. So $10 million for a guy like Corey Kluber, who's going to be somewhere in between a Rich Hill and a Nate Eovaldi in terms of production, while paying more towards the side of Rich Hill as opposed to Nate Eovaldi, seems to me like it's a pretty good deal. Now, this could have something to do with where Corey Kluber lives. He does live in Winchester, Massachusetts, which is about 30 minutes from Fenway Park, which means, hey, during the season, he could live at home, he could commute, no more like staying in hotels for home games, getting an apartment, something like that. So there may have been some sort of geographical discount in this deal. And it's really interesting to me that over this offseason, we've really seen a trend, especially for guys who want big name free agents, really try and get deals close or in their home state within driving distance of the park. And I wonder if that's going to become a trend in the future. But as for right now, I'm not entirely sure. But either way, the contract itself monetarily to me makes a lot of sense. It's not an overpay by any means. You're actually, in my opinion, saving a little bit of money with the way that this free agency has gone. And on top of that too, it's not a long-term deal, which is really important considering he is an older veteran type pitcher. So in my opinion, the money and the years on this deal completely check out, and I have absolutely no problem with the Red Sox signing a guy like Corey Kluber to this type of deal. But let's talk about what Corey Kluber's actual impact on this Red Sox team could look like going into 2023. Throughout Corey Kluber's career, he's been a fairly solid pitcher with some real peaks, and I wouldn't say valleys, but some lower points in his career. His highest point of his career was between the 2014 and the 2018 season. Within that span, he won 2 Cy Youngs, was really in the conversation for a Cy Young in all 5 of those years, but also finished in 3rd twice for Cy Young in those 5 years. He also had 3 All-Star appearances and even cracked the top 10 in MVP voting. But throughout his entire career, again, he's been a fairly steady pitcher. Throughout his 12 seasons in Major League Baseball in total, he has had a 3.31 ERA with a 3.09 FIP, which means that even with that kind of low ERA at 3.31, in his career, he's regularly pitched below what his ERA states, and he had a 1.26 ERA plus, which is about 26% more productive than the average starting pitcher in baseball throughout those 12 years. Again, fairly solid numbers. In 2022, he was okay. I wouldn't say this is one of his years he's going to put on his highlight reel, but it wasn't a terrible year either. He finished 2022 with a 4.34 ERA with a much lower FIP at 3.57, which to me indicates that he pitched a little bit better than what his ERA shows, which he tended to do throughout his career in total, like we talked about. One thing that is of concern a little bit is the fact that he ended the year with an 84 ERA plus, which means that he was about 16% less productive than the average pitcher in baseball in 2022. He also had a whip of 1.213, which again, not exactly numbers you're going to get excited about. They aren't jumping off the page at you. They're very average to below average numbers, but there are some things I want to point out to you guys that should get you at least a little bit excited about this signing. Now, the first one I want to talk about is the fact that in 2022, he pitched in 31 games. Now, for reference, there was only one singular pitcher on this Red Sox staff that pitched in 31 games in 2022, and that was Nick Pivetta. If Corey Kluber can stay healthy and give you those 31 starts that he gave Tampa last year, or somewhere around that, even in the 28 to 32 range, somewhere in there, he'll bring some reliability to this Red Sox pitching staff in terms of a guy who you know is going to be able to go out there every 5 days and eat innings for your team, which is something the Red Sox, again, outside of Nick Pivetta, were lacking in 2022. The other thing that I want to point out to you guys about Corey Kluber's statistics is his walks per nine. His walks per nine in 2022 were sitting at just 1.2, a number that led not just the American League, but all of Major League Baseball. And not walking a lot of guys is something Corey Kluber's really tended to do throughout his entire career. Throughout those 12 years that we talked about earlier, his walks per nine is sitting at just 2. This number leads all of Major League Baseball in that time span throughout his career. So again, this is a guy that's going to pound the strike zone. He's not going to walk a ton of people given his history. Now, if we take a look at his baseball savant page, there are some ups, there are some downs, there are some things to be concerned with, and there are some things that should get you a little bit excited. We could start with the good news on Corey Kluber's baseball savant page, and that is what we just talked about with his walk rate. It is in the 99th percentile, meaning that there was only 1% of players who walked less people percentage-wise than Corey Kluber in 2022. Now, you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, how could he lead the league in walks per nine but not lead the league in walks percentage? That's because the walks per nine is calculated for starting pitchers and the percentages for all pitchers in baseball. One of the other things that I'd like to point out about his baseball savant page that is good is his chase rate, which is sitting in the 96th percentile, meaning that there is only 4% of MLB pitchers who are getting more swings on pitches outside of the zone. That is key to Corey Kluber's game. He's a guy who pounds the strike zone, but then will drop out of it at the last minute to get a lot of guys to chase, and he's been very successful with it, even as he's gotten a little bit older and a little bit over the peak of his career. So those are two things to be pretty excited about Corey Kluber's baseball savant page. You can also take a look at things he's done well, like his exit velo percentages and his hard hit rate, which are important stats to have above average at the bare minimum of when you are a pitcher who pitches to contact. Now, like I said before we started talking about his baseball savant page, there are things to be concerned with. I just mentioned that Corey Kluber isn't exactly a strikeout pitcher. He's a guy who relies on movement and chasing on his pitches to give you weak contact and allow your defense to do the work. So it makes sense that his strikeout percentage is lower than the average pitcher in baseball. He also has a lower expected batting average and expected slug. Again, that's usually indications that he's more of a contact type pitcher as opposed to a strikeout pitcher. So definitely things to keep your eye on, but this shouldn't be the sole reason you say, hey, Corey Kluber doesn't seem like a good fit for this Red Sox team. Overall, I don't hate this Corey Kluber signing at all. My biggest concern with Kluber is the fact that he has had injuries in the past. There have been years where he hasn't spent a ton of time on the field, and while last year he did prove that he could still stay healthy for a full season, there will always be that question mark of will he get hurt again? Especially as he gets older, it's going to be more likely that he gets injured throughout the entire course of an MLB season. And with a Red Sox pitching staff right now that features right now Chris Sale, James Paxton, and Garrett Whitlock, all guys who have not thrown over 100 innings in the last season, it adds a question mark that I really don't know if the Red Sox need. But if they feel confident that 2022 wasn't a fluke and that he can give you 31 innings again, all in all, I don't hate this signing at all. I think Corey Kluber will end up as a 4-5 hole slot pitcher, and it's an upgrade over our 4-5 hole slotting pitcher in 2022. So you're making improvements, you're making upgrades. He didn't cost a lot. He's on a really decent contract. I think for the Red Sox, you're going to get your return on investment for Corey Kluber. Is this a signing that I'm going to write home about, get super excited about, tell you that the World Series is back on for? No, but I think it will help the Red Sox improve their pitching staff going into 2023. One thing I do want to point out is that it seems like the Red Sox are going in a direction of guys who only throw strikes. Chris Martin had one of the lowest walks percentage in all of baseball last year. Now you got the guy in a starting pitching role who did have the lowest walk rate in baseball last year. It seems like the Red Sox are done giving free passes on the bases, especially with this new larger base rule, limited pickoffs, pitch timer, stuff like that. So it seems like that's the direction the Red Sox are going in, which will be interesting to see how it plays out. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think of Corey Kluber to the Boston Red Sox? Do you like the contract? Do you like the player? Do you not like either? What are your thoughts on Corey Kluber becoming a member of this Red Sox team? Let me know all your thoughts down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, like I said at the beginning, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight for a live stream and in the Red Seat.